My wife invited her lover home, but it turned into a brutal confrontation. Cheating wife story. The sound of laughter echoed through the house, a sound that used to warm my heart but now felt like a knife twisting in my chest. I froze at the doorway, my hands trembling as I stared through the slightly ajar door of our living room. My wife, Emma, was sitting on the couch, her head thrown back in laughter, her hand resting on the thigh of a man I had never seen before. My pulse quickened, my vision blurred, and in that moment, I knew, my worst fear had come true. I never imagined my marriage would come to this. Emma and I had been together for 8 years. We built everything from scratch, a home, a family, and what I thought was a future. I worked long hours as an engineer while she stayed home, pursuing her dream of starting a small interior design business. I trusted her completely. But lately, something had changed. Her phone was always face down, her smiles were colder, and she seemed irritated whenever I came home early. Still, I wanted to believe it was just stress. I wanted to believe my wife was still the woman I fell in love with. That illusion shattered the night she invited her lover into our home. It all began with a text message I wasn't supposed to see. I was about to charge her phone when a message flashed across the screen. "Can't wait to see you tonight, babe. He'll never know." My heart dropped into my stomach. I stood there, paralyzed, staring at the words that tore my world apart. My first instinct was denial. Maybe it was a joke, maybe I was misunderstanding. But deep down, I knew. The woman I loved was cheating. I didn't confront her immediately. Instead, I decided to find out the truth. That night, I told her I had to work late, but I parked my car down the street and waited. My hands gripped the steering wheel so tightly that my knuckles turned white. An hour later, a sleek black car pulled up in front of our house. A tall, muscular man stepped out with a bouquet of flowers in hand. My heart stopped. He knocked on the door, and Emma opened it wearing the same red dress she wore on our anniversary 2 years ago. The same dress I told her made her look like the most beautiful woman in the world. She smiled at him, a smile that once belonged to me. That's when something inside me broke. I wasn't going to let this man walk into my home like I didn't exist. I got out of my car, stormed toward the house, and opened the door before they could react. The look on Emma's face was priceless, shock, fear, guilt, all at once. The man turned toward me, startled. "Well," I said, my voice trembling with rage, "don't stop on my account." Emma jumped to her feet, her voice shaking. "Daniel, it's not what it looks like. Really?" I interrupted, pointing at the flowers on the table. "Because it looks exactly like what it looks like." Her lover, confident and smug, stood up. "Maybe you should calm down, man. Let's talk like adults." That was the last thing he should have said. I lunged at him, fury overtaking reason. We crashed into the coffee table, glass shattering beneath us. Emma screamed as I pinned him down. All the pain, betrayal, and humiliation poured out of me in that moment. I wasn't just fighting him, I was fighting every broken promise, every lie, every lonely night. He shoved me off and swung at me, catching my jaw. I stumbled, dazed, but I didn't stop. I grabbed him by the collar and slammed him against the wall. "Get out of my house!" I roared. "Before I lose the last bit of control I have left." He backed off, wiping the blood from his lip, his arrogance fading into fear. He grabbed his jacket and bolted out the door. Emma stood there, crying, shaking, whispering apologies that sounded hollow. "Daniel, I made a mistake. Please, we can fix this." I looked at her, my heart breaking all over again. "You brought him into our home, Emma. The place we built together. The place where I loved you more than life itself." She fell to her knees, sobbing, but I couldn't feel sympathy anymore. Something in me had died. I walked upstairs, packed a small bag, and left. For weeks, I stayed at my brother's apartment, drowning in silence. I replayed every memory, every moment we'd shared, wondering how love could turn into betrayal so easily. I thought about forgiving her, but how could I forgive someone who invited destruction into our home and called it love? Then one night, Emma showed up at my door. She looked nothing like the woman I'd known. Her eyes were sunken, her voice soft and broken. She told me she'd ended things with the man and wanted to start over. "I'll go to therapy, I'll do anything," she said. "Just please, don't give up on us." I stared at her for a long time. The part of me that still loved her wanted to believe. But the scars were too deep. Emma, I said quietly, love without trust is just pain. And I'm done living in pain. Her tears fell silently as I closed the door. It was the hardest thing I'd ever done, but it was the beginning of my healing. Months later, I moved to a new city, started fresh, and focused on myself. I learned to forgive, not her, but myself, for holding on too long. I realized that sometimes, letting go isn't losing. It's choosing peace over chaos. If there's one thing I learned from that night, it's this: betrayal can break you, but it can also rebuild you. Pain can destroy, but it can also shape strength. Emma invited her lover home thinking she could control the situation, but what she really did was set me free. And that's something I'll never regret.